Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Happy New Year to all, especially those in the VIP Discord, getting those winners as we are now 2 days in a row with some nice winning plays there in the NBA, up 45 units on the season. We've got a little bit of a weird injury report here for Thursday, so I'm going to run through the strong leans that I have. If that all sounds good to you, give that video a like. Let's get right into it. Just one play on the card here on Wednesday. Didn't have much time to get to stuff here. Long story, talk about it on the live show tomorrow, but most importantly, we got the Paul George bet right here, over 30.5 PRA, and everything else here is from Tuesday, where we did go 5-3, I should say, up about 2.5 units that day. Another unit made here on Wednesday. Feeling really good. The best play that I got to go back to there was the Jarrett Allen double-double. He failed to come through for us just one night prior, and then came through in spades, had like 14 and 8 at the half in that one. So nice clean over there. Desmond Bane, another nice clean over without John Morant as well, in a really good matchup that we talked about on the video here before that game on Tuesday. And Book as well. That was a bet that we found on the live show. Felt really good about that one. Nailed it for plus money as well for the dimes. But he's playing without Nurk, and there was also no Royce O'Neal. It was just a really good matchup and situation for him in that one, as the Suns were not able to pull out the win, but Book had a nice game there. DiVincenzo, my God. I mean, just as soon as we bet on him is when he just goes brick from three. What are you going to do? We lost 1.5 units on it, and Max Christie didn't come through either. I'm not sure if we should be relying on his points too much. I don't know the volume will be there in games that this team is definitely going to be trying to pull out the W in those big moments. So we'll keep an eye on him because he's getting the starter role and starter minutes because he's always guarding the best guard on the other team. And I thought he would do a little bit better. He got the minutes, guarding Donnie Mitchell there, but the team ended up getting blown out, and he didn't have to do much in the fourth quarter. So he went under, but we are going to keep looking at him. I'm not scared of betting on Max Christie now that I know he's going to be firmly in that rotation for 30 plus minutes whenever he's needed to guard the best guard on the other team, which will happen probably quite a lot. So as you can see there, up about 45 units on the season, feeling really good about it. And I do want to give you guys an opportunity to get a free month in the VIP if you're interested. So as you know, we're running this special here where you get a free month if you do sign up for one of the books that are listed in the description of the video. Two of them right here, you can see UNDERDOG and BETMGM. So if you still don't have a sportsbook account with these books, go ahead and sign up using code LYB and send me a screenshot telling me that you did that, showing me proof that you signed up using code LYB at JLBoogie on Twitter and Discord. But if you do send me that screenshot with proof, we'll get you in there for a free month and you can test it out, see how these picks work for you guys. But at any rate, let's get right into what I've got here for Thursday. As you know by now, we're using Props Madness to go through all these plays together, using this on the live show and in these videos with you guys. And if you do want to get an account there with Props Madness, use promo code LYB. Get yourself 25% off your first month as well. Cannot recommend this platform highly enough. Hopefully, you're seeing how I'm using it and getting something out of it. So we will be going through that. Also, just one more reminder. While I don't have every pick already up for myself and for you guys just yet, we are going to be going through this on the live show. We do this every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Missed it on Wednesday. I'll explain that on the show tomorrow once again, but we are going to be back on Thursday, 5:30 p.m. So you guys bring your bets, jump in the comments. We'll go through all that stuff together and show you exactly how I'm playing, what it is that I'm playing. Let's go ahead and get right into our first look here, and that's Boston, Minnesota. This is going to be a really, really good game. I'm pretty confident. The Timberwolves playing a lot better on defense. They should at least be able to run around and keep this thing within double digits. Let's put it that way. And any game for the Celtics that's within double digits, at least it should be considered a decent enough game the way they're blowing so many teams out. But the first guy I'm going to, man, I just got to look at Ant, right? And for Minnesota, there are no key questionable tags. We will be looking at Boston tomorrow because they do have both Kristaps and Jaylen Brown listed on the injury report as questionable. They're too impactful to be able to bet on anybody on the Celtics tonight. That's for damn sure. But when we look at the Timberwolves, we can at least look at Ant and we can talk about his threes for a minute. I'm not actually scared of the points because I like the threes, but I think the threes is where you find the value here. We've got over 3.5 or plus 120 on DraftKings, and that is a very good number for Ant, despite how good this Boston defense is. This is the type of player that you want to target, and specifically the reason would be three-point shooting off the pull-up and pull-ups in general, right? So if you go to NBA Advanced Stats, I've shown you this a number of times. I'm looking at how teams defend the pull-up shot. And this is where Boston, it's weakest for sure, but it's on purpose, right? Boston is allowing the seventh highest frequency of pull-up field goal attempts for the other team. If you look at three-point field goal frequency, just as high, all the way here, it's at about 13% of the field goals that are taken from three against them off the pull-up, and you can see three-pointers made off the pull-up. They are giving up the third most right there. We know Ant has been Ray Allen, Ant Edwards this season, just chucking anywhere from 10 to 15 threes a lot. If you want to know who is taking the most pull-ups threes for this team for Minnesota, obviously it's going to be Ant. But the other thing is he's actually in the top 5 in the NBA. If I go to NBA Advanced Stats players data and I look at pull-up shooting under tracking here, I can see that Ant Edwards is taking the 4th most three-point attempts off the pull-up. Funnily enough, the other guys in the game with him, against him, Jason Tatum, you got LaMelo, obviously, and Luka. But then you got Ant, and he is taking a ton of those this season, making about 2.8 of them. And we're talking about a team that's where they're vulnerable. You can even see, if you scroll down here to play type analysis, they are 3rd worst in terms of limiting points to the pick and roll ball handler, and 2nd worst limiting points in the isolation play. And that's what Ant's going to do. That's what this Minnesota team does, is either run him in the pick and roll as the ball handler, or they just give it to him and say, go do you and get yours. And I think that's where the threes come into play, and why you like that stuff. That's what we talked about with Boston all season. They're not going to get off of the shooters. They're going to stick to their man, play one-on-one defense, and not double the ball or overpressure it at all. And so that's why you saw Ant, if you go to head-to-head for this season, you saw him this year hit 6 threes on 11 attempts. And if he's going to take 11, I like him to hit 4. Let's put it that way. I think he's good for at least 10 attempts, in which case it's not necessarily a lock, but this is the type of team in the matchup that should give us a little bit of an edge here. And 3.5 at plus 120, you can even get plus 140 on Bet365. I just think we got at least have to put like a half a unit, if not a full one, on him to do really well from the 3-point line against Boston here on Thursday. So just to be super clear, I did just bet Ant Edwards over 3.5 made threes. Took that on Bet365 for plus 140. This is now officially the first bet on the card. I literally had to pause the video to get it in, because once this 140 popped up on Bet365, that was too sexy. So I hit that. I do think this is good at plus 120 as well, which is where it's at on DraftKings, as you can see here. But there's plenty of other books that are giving you even better than plus 120 for Ant to make 4 threes. I just think that's too high of a price, and it's overvalued the Boston defense, which is most vulnerable, as I said, in this very specific area, which is exactly what Ant Edwards wants to do. So we're going to take him on the over 3.5 threes for Thursday night. While we don't have Jaylen Brown or Kristaps officially labeled in or out just yet, like I said a minute ago, I do think there's some things we can look at in preparation for when they are listed in or out. And if they are listed out, the first thing I do want to point out is our boy Peyton Pritchard, push a P. He's at 12.5 points right now. And I'm pulling up NBA advanced stats on Fantasy Labs, which allows you to see how players do when certain other players are on and off the court. Talked about this a number of times. So if Kristaps and Jaylen Brown are both out, I put them both off court and went over here to on court to look at, let's say, Al, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday. Those are definitely going to be 4 starters. And then the 5th one depends, because we got Minnesota. And normally you would just see Sam Hauser come in and start for this team whenever you have Kristaps out or somebody like Jaylen Brown, right? Now we're probably talking about, obviously, Al coming in for KP. I think we might even be seeing maybe Cornette or Neemias Queta, probably Cornette, as he's been ahead of Queta on the depth chart as the backup big, if you will, with Kristaps out anyway. I think we're going to see a couple more bigs out here against Minnesota, which is what teams normally have to do. We'll see. I don't know what the starting lineup is going to be, but I know these 4 guys are going to be on the floor to start if Brown and Kristaps are out. And if Kristaps is out, it's going to be Al anyway, right? So I'm looking at how these guys have performed in this situation this season with the standard stats and the things that stand out to me. Al Horford's at about 10 rebounds per 36 minutes. If his rebound prop comes out at 5 or 6.5 tomorrow, that is an over with Kristaps out. Let's put it that way. With the same thing here goes for our boy Peyton Pritchard. If we go down here, haven't been that many minutes where he's playing with this team, but he's at 24 points per 36, essentially whenever these 2 dudes are off the court, and he's on the court with these 4 guys. Even if we take all 4 of these guys off and just see when those 2, Kristaps and Jaylen Brown, are off court, how do guys do in general? We don't even need to worry about who else is on the floor for Boston. We just need to know that Jaylen and KP are off the floor. And we can see here, we're talking about Peyton. He's right here, 135 minutes that he's played with both those guys off the floor, 24 points per 36. This is not going to be a blowout. So it shouldn't be anyway. I can't obviously predict that 100%, but this should be a close enough game that Peyton Pritchard isn't going to be the sort of victory cigar at the end of the game coming in at all. He's just going to be a part of this offense looking to get some more shots up, because Jaylen Brown is leaving a big hole in terms of the usage on offense, and they've been really riding Peyton Pritchard's 3-point shooting recently. So I'm going to be going to the over to him up to 13.5 points tomorrow. Right now it's 12.5. And to be honest, if you want to get some value and take it at 12.5 right now for Peyton, I'm not going to hate it. It's not on my card yet, to be very specific. But this is a guy that I'm going to be looking at the minute that we get either of these 2, Jaylen Brown or Kristaps, out, or both for sure, then we're going over on Peyton Pritchard points. And the same as can be said for Al Horford rebounds, which we don't even have listed right now. But like I said, 5.5 or even 6.5 for decent odds. We're going to be taking that over for Al Horford on the rebounds. We'll be going through that in the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. The Nets and Bucks don't have official injury reports up for at least the Nets right now because they did play on Wednesday and got shellacked by the Toronto Raptors on the second leg of their back-to-back, who did get Emmanuel quickly back, though, by the way. So something to keep out an eye on for the Raps. What's interesting, obviously, the first thing that's going to stand out is Dame Lillard's at 21.5 points. And this is where I think I'll be going to start in the points in this game. Reason being, I think that they're basically overvaluing the Nets defense that was good before Dennis Schroeder left the team. It was good and before DFS is gone, and now they have D'Lo. And I talked about this the other day on the show where I said, as soon as the Brooklyn Nets start D'Lo and Cam Thomas at the same time, we're taking overs for everybody against them, and we're probably taking overs in the game that they're playing in. As you saw today, a big over against Toronto. Didn't have Cam Thomas, but it had D'Lo. But for Dame, did not have a very good game against this team last time, just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. Went 2 for 7 from the field, 9 for 11 from the free throw line, but just 15 points in 39 minutes, shooting 29% from the field. So not a very good outing for him. And then he's coming off a terrible outing against the Pacers as well, where they somehow pulled that game out by 8, which might be more of a knock on the Pacers than anything. And Giannis kind of brought them back at the end, but still only got 30. Dame was horrible, shooting 3 for 14 from the field that game. He's been getting his conditioning back, and that was a tough team to have to go up against when you're still getting your conditioning back, being the Pacers, right? Because Dame was so sick for about a week or so. Now he's going up against a Nets team that we've only got this priced at 21.5 points because he's been bad against this team once and the Nets. But the Nets had Dennis Schroeder the last time that they played him, and Schroeder is a much better defender than anybody they're going to put out there. Plus, no more DFS. They're going to be sitting a ton of guys. I think this is too low, and we're getting some value on Dame's points. Not ready to hit it just quite yet. I want to know if Cam Thomas is playing tomorrow before I do bet on anything here. Cam Thomas does have some props up right now at 19.5 points. And then you've got Cam Johnson 16.5 and D'Lo at 14.5. But Cam Thomas missed the game against Toronto on Wednesday. So we don't know for sure if he's going to be in there on Thursday. We need to see what happens with that injury report for the Nets when they actually put it out. But as soon as we know, I'm going to be looking at Cam Thomas, to be honest, on the points. If he's under 20 and he doesn't have a minutes restriction, we'll be looking at him. And Cam Johnson at 16.5 is pretty low as well, but need to see what's going to happen with him. I don't think Cam Johnson's going to go down at all. I think his prop will stay up unless Cam Thomas is ruled out, and then we'll see that rise a bit. But there's no reason to bet on it just yet because 16.5 is a really, really good number if Cam Thomas is out. Two leans that I have here in the Clippers and the Thunder game right now. Also, pretty clean injury report for both these teams, so not too worried about it. Obviously, I'm looking at centers against the Thunder when we're talking about rebounds and really rebounds for anybody against the Thunder. That's where they're weakest. This is let's look at the Thunder for a minute. In rebounding, they are still second worst, right, in terms of the rebounds allowed to the opponent. And Zoo is a guy that you obviously love the boards. Now, in the last game against this team, he did not go over. If we look at head-to-head this season, he went over in one, and under in the other. So averaging 13 on the season against this team, and we're getting him at 12.5. I don't think we should be scared of this, to be honest. And I think both centers are going to have some nice games against each other for Ihart and Zubac. Haven't bet the Zoo at 12.5 yet on the rebounds, but that's going to probably be where we end up going. And I do think this is going to be something that you would need to get ahead of because it might tip over into 13.5. And it's really just that simple. There's no other real strong analysis. It's just that this team is allowing a ton of rebounds to the other team. Zubac is a top 5 rebounder in the league for sure, especially with the numbers he has. 12.5 on the season is good for top 5. So we're going to keep believing in his ability to attack the offensive boards and then just completely clean everything up on the defense because there's really no other good rebounder on this team when they start, obviously, Derek Jones Jr. essentially at the 4, right? They're going big at other positions, but at the center position, other than the center position, they're pretty small at the 4, and that's going to be where they're going to continue to have some troubles and why Ivica is getting so many rebounds. So I don't think he's going to have much competition there. I'm going to take him at over 12.5 boards. Still a lean for right now. I don't want to lie about what's on the card. I want to make sure to get the episode out, and then we'll be looking at Ivica again on the live show 5:30 tomorrow. And the other lean here is just going to be Norm Powell. And this is probably going to tip over into 23.5. Right now, you can still get some 22.5s for Storm and Norman Powell there. 23.5 still not going to be that bad, but the key here is Storman doing his work off the spot up. And that's how you beat the Thunder. We always talk about that. Now, granted, you're not going to get much in transition against this team. This is a very, very good transition defense with so many versatile wings that are capable of getting back and limiting the opponent when they try to fast break against them. But they are 24th in limiting spot up points. Everything catch and shoot against them is the way to go. And that's what Norm is going to be doing when he's on the floor with James Harden, to be honest. When James Harden's off the floor, though, Norm is the dude. He's taking all of the shots, and he's getting about 8 minutes per game without James Harden on the floor with him. It's just that this is a tough matchup for the primary ball handler. So it is something to proceed with a little bit of caution. But if you get Norm at 22.5 and he's hitting any of those spot up shots for the Clippers, I do think that this is going to be a bit of a closer game than we might think. Last game was a 13-point loss for the Clips, but they have been playing good enough defense and on enough rest, which they now have. They should be able to hang a little bit. I like Norm to get 23 points in this one. All right, as I pull up the Blazers and the Lakers, we do have AD questionable. Do think he'll play, to be honest, but he is questionable, and that's something that we at least have to keep an eye on. And then Jeremy Grant is out for the Portland Trailblazers. So while I normally just skip right over anything Trailblazers, I got to shout out one of the VIP cappers in the Discord, Free Sauce. If you've been around at all, you already know Free Sauce. He's one of the main reasons we even have the Land Your Bets community, to be honest. Free Sauce has been eyeing my brother here, Toumani Camara, my fellow Belgian, if you will. He has been boarding his butt off. And the thing to like about this is there's a correlation between 8 games ago when he started getting all these boards. I'm put up the last 8 here on Props Madness. Started getting all these boards as soon as Matisse Thybulle stopped playing. And that was one of the competitors for his role, as they're both sort of long, rangy wings that can 3 and D, right? But his rebounding has taken a really, really nice uptick as a result. So he's over in all of the last 8 on 5.5, where we're still getting plus money for him to get 6 boards against the Lakers here on Thursday. We know Jeremy Grant is out. I told you Matisse Thybulle is out as well, and I told you that he's directly correlated to Toumani Camara's rebounding. So without him in there, I'm going to feel really good about that. And I just want to bring up Toumani here on NBA Advanced Stats and show you the player rebounding stuff for the Portland Trailblazers over the last 8 games. So I have this filtered for the last 8 games on NBA Stats, and I'm just looking at the Trailblazers players here, right? That's how I went ahead and filtered this. So when I scroll down, it's showing me the leaders in rebound chances here, leaders in rebounds and everything. You look at Camara, he's up to 13.4 rebound chances in the last 8 games with an incredibly high 62% rebound chance percentage. That's high and good for a starting center that dominates, right? And this man's coming in and getting a ton of those boards without really much of a matchup in terms of defenders that are as good as him at rebounding, to be honest, especially when he plays the 3 and is oversized for that position. When he plays the 4, fine. He's going to be going up against Rui in this game against the Lakers. Rui also a poor rebounder who did a lot better at the beginning of the season and has really fallen off in that regard. But if these are the numbers that we can depend on, and the minutes have been more than steady for him, especially without Thybulle. If you look at the lineups and the rotations, there's nobody in here that has not been playing that might now come in and steal some minutes from him. Avdia has been playing the whole time. Shaedon Sharpe's been playing the whole time. And now Jeremy Grant not in there either, right? So there's really nobody I'm worried about coming in and taking tomorrow's time tomorrow. It's easy for me to say. And I love the rebound chances at 13. If you need him to get 6 of 13, that's not even 50% of a rebound chance percentage, which we told you he's way better than that right now. So the Lake Show, not exactly impressive when it comes to rebounding. They are 20th in terms of rebounds allowed. This is going to be a really good opportunity for a guy to kind of come in and sneak in and get some of those boards while guys like Ayton or Klingon are battling with AD, who I do expect to play in this one. And that leaves the opportunity for those rangy wings to come in and clean up the boards. So I'm really liking Toumani to get 6 tomorrow. Haven't put this in, but this is going to be a strong lean. And I imagine that as long as I can get this at about plus 120, I am going to be betting this over for Toumani Camara. All right, hope to see y'all on the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Bring your bets and jump in the comments. We'll go over all this stuff together and take a look at how many bets we can find here and get that value to get our card nice and full. But go ahead and give that video a like if you have not yet. Subscribe so you don't miss any of this stuff here on YouTube. And until I see y'all next, happy betting.